Sansa. Hello. Chloe.
Alright, I got it working. Oh, that's not it.
Sansa, stop tickling him.
This most peculiar crows.
Grunting. Not killed. Except.
Alright.
Yeah, where's your cat, Sophia?
Alright. There's my live stream link. Took me a little while.
But you want that on screen all the time, or will you just tell me when?
I'll tell you when. Because I'm going to be in local voice for to start, and then when I do my thing, I'll move over to media.
Okay. That makes sense.
So that way I can follow my show notes a little better. Hello.
Retro. Unlock your avatar now.
Well, that was cute.
Okay, the recording is active, so
Yeah.
you really should stop fiddling when you're live now. Honest Fantasy Faire account. Oh, you've done it already.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us when you're ready to start, Bane.
Anytime.
Okay. So, hello everyone, and welcome to a very special event with Bane Finch, who is one of the best camera people in Second Life. I know no one who can get the long tracking shots that Bane can. And on top of that, he is incredibly helpful in giving advice and understanding, to helping people understand the techniques for making their own films. He does an awful lot of work supporting events, particularly associated with Relay for Life. So an all-round good egg, which is the reason that he won the first special Lepisian Memorial Award, which we give at the Wafflies every year to honour people who've made a real contribution to Second Life machinima. And Bain was our first recipient.
Oh, not every word is true, right, Bain?
Absolutely.
And I think, long time were you coming to Cinema Mondays in 2000? What was it? Oh, God. Today,
So,
Brent,
yes.
you have prepared a camera workshop, or how should I call it? Much more than that. Mhm.
Right. Bain, you've gone quiet.
I can still hear him. I can still hear. And you will tell me switch on the screen, right? Oh, hang on. It's being a bit, yeah. We again. Oh, it's showing an older film. Why? I don't know.
I'm seeing the Anna Kirker film.
Yeah, me too. Which is really weird. That's right. Hmm. Ooh. Hang on, it's laggy. I'm sure. I'm sure. I've altered the link a little bit. Maybe that works. Yes, there we are. Okay, it's on the screen.
Okay. We can do a 1, 2, 3, go.
Should I give
All
the
right.
stream public chat for the people that can't see the screen here? Hmm?
And one click over here. All right. Everybody able to hear me in the multimedia panel? And then we'll begin. Movie magic. Hello, welcome, welcome, one and all. All right, thank you, Frey. All right, my name is Bane Finch, and this is a little introduction and brief overview of cinematography terms and concepts in movie making. Individual directors may have their own standards and deviations from these generally accepted definitions. So, a movie is just a collection of short clips to tell a story. A strip is usually eventually written into different formats in the movie world, one being a production script, and further breakdowns will be done via storyboards to help visualize a shot. A production script may have details about the environment, location, key props, effects they're trying to do, broken down to individual scenes. So a storyboard will be created so everyone can visualize, build, script their props, costume, and prepare for the shot in a sequence. A book may say in various formats, for a given scene, a gun battle breaks out, go into the story. But in a production script, it will expand the scene to say extra close up on the gun, finger slowly squeezing the trigger. As the gun goes off, speed ramp to slow motion, and go into the details of all that shot. The storyboard will also reflect the composition they're trying to get for each individual shot, how close, the angles, framing, and all the key visual elements you see there. So in those two scripts, or script and storyboard, you see there's a language needed so that the director and the camera people and the editors and set builders, costume props, and other production people can all maintain the same creative vision. That language builds on photography, framing, angles, composition, with the addition of motion terms. So what follows is the alphabet of the language of the camera speaks. By combining each element of framing, angles, composition, motion, the camera can speak of conflicts, fight scenes, suspense, horror, revelations, discoveries, entrances, exits, passion, excitement, etc., etc. So, let's begin. Alright. Let's start with the very, very basics. Let's start with the establishing shot. This is one I took early this morning, and it's just a static establishing shot. Think of most sitcoms, the shot of the house you never see in the show from the outside ever again, or the empty living room just before all the actors make their entrances. All the while, credits are playing out. An establishing shot may be also used when switching locations or big changes in time and that sort of thing. So let's get down to even more basics. The framing of people. So the first shot is this mug of this guy here. Framing people generally starts with, a single person. The person is centered, facing the camera, line of sight with the eyes. Framing is only concerned about the top and bottom of the frame. The top frame is just set to above this person's head, hat, or headdress or hairdo, that sort of thing, when you're dealing with a full shot. The bottom frame defines the shot type. A full shot shows their feet. A medium full shot excuse me. A medium full shot stops at the knees. The next is the coolest term ever, the cowboy shot. Here, the top of the frame is dropped down to just above the top of the head, regardless if they're wearing a big hairdo or a hat or something. And the bottom frame is brought up to their thighs, so you can just see their hand on the gun. This came out of the Western movies of the 60s, 50s, and all that stuff. And that's the perfect form. Cowboy shot. So you got to focus on their eyes and their hand on the gun. The next shot, we move up to the waist. For the medium shot, this is probably one of the more common ones that you will see a lot of, and it's just from the waist up, and then we push in a little closer to the chest for the medium close-up, and then for the close-up, you stop at the shoulders. After that, we get into extreme close-ups, and that will just do something like show the eyes, the hand on the gun, the finger, that sort of thing. Another descriptor you'll get in these kind of shots are like the solo shot, the two shots, two people, three people, or a group shot. That's these, basically is the first part of the descriptors of a shot. So a close-up, group shot, blah 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 blah. Sorry, I got a bit of a tickle today in my throat. Another one is it's actually three shots. One is called the point of view shot. The other is the over the shoulder shot, and the other one is a line of sight shot. And a line of sight shot, you are looking what the person is looking at. But that shot will never get used without one of the other two, because one shot, like over the shoulder, shows the person looking at something, and then we go to line of sight to show what they're looking at. It might be they're opening up a drawer, and just as the drawer starts to open, we go to line of sight to reveal what the drawer contains. That sort of thing. That's how they tend to get used. And this is the point of view shot, where you see their eyes looking at something, and then you go back to what they were looking at. And then the next two framings, and these are all the more or less static shots, there might be some movement in there, is the leading shot. Here it's showing where the next shot might be going. It might be showing who he's talking to somebody just off frame, or he just completed something and now his whole adventure is now forward. So the past is behind him, and that's the sort of thing you got here. Or the trailing shot. Now he's cornered. His troubles are behind him. He's not forward. He's not forward thinking. The leading shot is not leading somewhere. It's focused behind and what has happened. So these are the basic shots that build from photography. And so now I'm going to switch over to live. And I also have to stand up for this guy. Let's get over to the front of the stage because I need some height. There we go. And go to flight cam. So the next bunch of types are the angle shots. We have the extreme low shot, the medium, the line of sight, and a high shot, and an extreme high shot. These all tend to get used with the power sequence. Somebody is shown to be from low, is shown to be powerful. Think of movies like A Few Good Men, where they're battling it out in the courtroom. They're both Nicholson and Cruise are battling it out, and they're trying to get dominance. And they're both shown from an angle of this far because they're trying to dominate the other one. The high shot tends to be shown as insecurity. They're being dominated on. They've lost their power. That's the sort of thing they're trying to do here. They get used for a lot of different reasons too, but those are the main components of that one. And I just have to do a little tweak here because I forgot to enable it. The craziest angle of them all, because it's also a motion, is the Dutch angle, where you turn the camera sideways. This is generally used with one of the others, like a high angle or a low angle shot, to show that something's gone really amiss. That's the basic idea here, is that the story's taken a twist, and they just realize that something's really. You'll see this a lot used in the 60s, the Batman series a lot. You're in the Penguin's lair and everything's skewed, everything's on an angle, that sort of thing. So that's, and the last one is your bird's eye view. This is generally used when, say somebody's walking through the park and they're having that secret talk with somebody, and it's to show how secluded they are, or that sort of thing. Or, they're going through the down a street scene or something like that, and they're being followed. It shows the whole sequence of everything that's happening there. That's the basic idea there with those shots. Okay. Now we get into our motion shots. So first, I'll get myself set up. There we go. Get this thing out of my way. Alright, so here we have our basic motion shots. We have our pan left and right, so that's just moving sideways, keeping square with this, the person or the scene that you're shooting. Let's see, generally with a line of sight or on a higher left angle. We have the did I get that right? Yeah, pan left. I always get these two terms mixed up. Right, pan. Yes. Sorry, I did get that mixed up. Ashley's going to kill me. Anyways, pan is basically you are orbiting the person. You want to see them a little more from the side, so you pan over to the side. So you tend to orbit around the person, keeping the same focal distance and that sort of thing. That's what it is. The next one is our trucking, and that's the one that goes side. You're trucking sideways. You're trucking left or right. The next one is your dolly shot, which is you're just pushing in closer or dollying out, pushing out farther. And then we get into our let's see. Right, and then we get into the pedestal, which is now we start turning up or down, or pedestaling up, and then we pan down to get back in the center of frame. And then the last one we got the tilt, which is your Dutch angle, And the last one I can't simulate. Oh, actually, I might be able to. No, I can't. Not without the fly cam. Is a zoom action where you're changing the focal length of the lens of the camera, so you're zooming closer, but you're framing back, so it changes your perspective of the person. Okay, and now this I can get back into video mode. I'm gonna play you some sample clips that I've recorded and shot. So the first one here is just a simple pull out from two different shots, from a medium close up to a full shot. And I found this wonderful subject, willing subject outside. I really love that thing, by the way. So that's just a simple pull out, and then we come to a stop, and they would keep on talking or doing whatever. So here I'm going to pause this. Now this is the dolly zoom shot. It's probably one of the hardest shots to do. It was originally created by Alfred Hitchcock and is sometimes known as the vertical effect, where you frame a subject in the camera and then you change the zoom length so that the area behind them pulls back or compresses. You've seen that a lot. So here you need a big long space to do that, because as you get the zoom going longer, the camera has to pull back an equal amount. So here I'm using the region border just outside the door here, and you can see I start off pretty close. And I slowly pull back, and the zoom length is just getting longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. And then the next pair actually is an establishing shot. And right now I can almost feel Safia smiling because these are our favorites. This first one was for the opening of episode 2 of Omega Hex. And we're way up on top of that tower over there that you probably recognize from a Fantasy Faire or shopping. And I had shown them a couple of different ones, but this is the one I showed them last. And I knew it was going to be the winner. It's just a long push into the base of the tower. And Xander, when he did his magic, picked some amazing music for this. Seriously dramatic. It's just building on the visuals. It was beautiful. So here I'm spinning underneath the tower. I'm trying to miss the opening door because it's a functioning retail space in there with vendor panels all over the place. And then we slowly climb the tower. And right now I'm looking for a very specific rooftop to find the alleyway. And then we do a little dodge here to find where our people are. And the fun thing about this one is that once I showed them and I got to this point here, there was like 5 seconds of silence on the Discord call. Everybody was just catching their breath like, yeah, that's a shot. It was such a great moment. I loved it. This next one is a further along in the episode. Our people just got caught, and so all the gear that they've been carrying to get themselves to this point is sitting there on that table, and so they are about to be interrogated by the evil Alice. And I'm using visual cues in the background just to skim across the top of their heads. And then I do a push in to the evil Alice. The funny thing about this one is I don't remember doing it. But when Safia showed it to me, it was like, oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, this next shot, let's have a little more fun here. This is a one shot that I did. Safia, when she did the Home and Garden Expo, she had home decorating contests, and she got me to do tours of all the houses. This one in particular had to be the hardest one I've ever done, strictly because of how much stuff they have on there and how small it is, because it's a tiny little trailer. So I'm going to let this roll. This place is just jam-packed. I had so much fun trying to find the perfect path here, because there's just so much to see. Come around here. So here I'm looking for a gap in those trees because there's a lovely little pond there. What's up? And then looking for the next gap in the trees. And then I gotta find that water spout because I have to duck down and miss a little greenhouse right behind me because it would have hidden all that stuff. And then find the sunflower seeds. And this is where it really gets hard. Doing the interior. The camera is just barely the width of the door. So I have to do a little side thing to miss the actual door. And this beautiful, beautiful little trailer. It's just jam-packed with stuff. That just made it look so realistic. And I will say this took probably like about 15 different takes to get it just right. And you'll see there's one little smash through. Well, that was a temporary reser, so it's just cycling. Right in this back room here, it's just so tight that I just could not do it without crashing through a perm right there. And then we go through this gap sideways, and then we get ourselves up to the loft. Find a little sleepy kitty. And then the hard part, getting back out of the trailer backwards. Line up with the floorboards, find a dark one, shift sideways. Because right at the very top was this last little nugget. Nice little book reading spot. So that's probably my very hardest one shot that I ever did. And then we get into a tracking shot. And heck, what more fun than liberating the 6-axis. So here I'm just chasing this plane. I'm not attached to it or zoom locked on it. I'm just free flying behind it. And I will add that I've played a lot of flight simulator games back in my day. And you will find there's a term in the industry called the money shot. It's usually special effects, and that's where all these type of things are really all coming to being. Everything has to be planned out to the minute moments. All right, the last bunch of components would be composition. So here is your standard thirds layout where you have the frame is broken up into thirds, and pretty much all the action happens either on the middle, column or the middle row of action. So everything would line up along those lines, and you will see that pretty much do any shot in the world, and you will find that. The easiest other composition is the asymmetrical, where everything is symmetrical in one plane, usually in the horizontal. And then there's, we get into more fancy ones, which the V, you'll see this one used a lot, where the action is contained within a triangle, everything else is secondary. And you'll see that this is another common one. Got a bit of a top-down view on Mr. Bond, because he's tied up in a vulnerable position and leading to where our antagonist could be coming out of the elevator. So it's a nice, beautiful composition. And then we can get into more classical or traditional cultural formats, where here at the Matrix, a Japanese feel where the action is contained within cells. Or something more from the Renaissance. Excuse me. So let's take a little visualization here. I'm pretty sure lots of you have seen the Kill Bill movies. Irma Thurman is about to get shot at her wedding. It's an extreme, line of sight shot. How can I forget about this slide? This is a nice little composition because it shows a moment in time where, maybe there's confrontation or it's a discussion that, hey, we should team up. It's one of those lines, everybody's looking at everybody. You can kind of get that feel that it's a special moment. So now we get into the Kill Bill movies. So here's a nice little composition. It's a tight framing, extreme high angle, it's canted, so it's skewed because she's about to get shot. Later on in the movie, she's showing dominance over Oshi Ren after the wonderful sword fight of extremes. She's in the trunk. You see the lid of the trunk and nothing else, and you see Irma Thurman telling her to tell Kill Bill, "I'm coming for you." So those are your very basic building blocks of visualizations, framing, composition, and the like for cinematic terms and movie making. One tip that I've always been sharing in the video group is to watch an action scene in slow motion and turn the sound off so that you can actually, because an action sequence is usually a whole bunch of little sequence of clips all stitched together, all leading one to the other, and it happens so fast you can't study them. So slow it down to 25%, even slower. Turn the sound off so you're not getting distracted by all that stuff, so you can study how each clip is composed, and the actions and how it flows from one to another to another. Alright, and that concludes my little talk, and I'm going to be going back to local voice so we can talk about it a little more. And we're back in local voice. Hello.
Yay.
Hello.
I switched the TV off. Is that okay, Bane? Yep. Okay.